Welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. Today, our main topic of discussion is going to be Guillermo Del Toro's Frankenstein. But before we get to that, first, we wanted to say belated happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We hope that everybody had the opportunity to have some quality time with friends and family in whatever shape, way, or form that is for you. We apologize that there was no release of an episode last week. Unfortunately, me and my entire family got sick with influenza, so that was not fun at all. So everybody be careful out there. There's still, health is very important. There's a lot of contagion still happening around, and influenza A is just a killer. It destroyed all of us. So that's a little bit about me. Goose, I know that you have some new Star Wars news that has been popping up lately. So we always start with a little bit of Star Wars. So
yeah, it is. I mean, it is after all a Star Wars Plus podcast. So we always got to sprinkle a little Star Wars love in there. But we're happy. We're happy. You and the rest of the fam is healthy again, or at least in a functioning capacity.
Mostly. Right now, yeah.
Mostly. Yeah. Mostly is better than not at all.
Very true.
Always got to put it in context, but always a good time to remind everyone, get your vaccines, despite what certain health officials that are in power now are misinforming and spreading, unsubstantiated claims about the efficacy of vaccines. They have eradicated diseases and they have prolonged the health and lifespans of humanity for the last couple of decades that vaccines have been around and en masse. So just do it. Get your flu shot. Get your COVID shot.
Yep.
Be healthy and help protect each other so that we can all be healthy and thriving and be able to celebrate more Thanksgivings. Not this year, but for many years to come. So
agreed.
Yeah. From us at Triad of the Force, happy belated Thanksgiving, happy holidays that they're approaching, and get your flu shots. Just do it. They do it for free on CVS and Walgreens. But yeah, besides that PSA, Star Wars. It's kind of been slow. It's kind of been slow on the Star Wars front.
Yeah.
We're not gonna lie there. We know last time we discussed the last publications of the Revenge of the Sith annotated edition that came out. We talked a little bit about Master of Evil by Adam Christopher that had just been published, which is a great read. If you haven't read it yet, go get it. There's probably publishing deals on Amazon or whatever. Although shop small, so support smaller bookstores. But there must be deals where they're selling the book for cheaper if it wasn't accessible to you before. But besides Visions, it's been a little quiet on the Star Wars galaxy. But some news recently popped up, which was kind of accidental news, and it's from Shawn Levy himself, who is the director of the upcoming Star Wars Starfighter film. He is obviously one of the producers and directors of Stranger Things, which if you have been living under a rock, Stranger Things season 5 just came out. Despite it, taking feels like decades to come out. All those kids are like adults now. Those babies have babies now, so it feels a lot like watching Wet Hot American Summer, but which is not self-aware, because at least Wet Hot American Summer was self-aware of having like these old adult actors portray very young teenagers, and that's part of the hilarity of it. But in Stranger Things, it's kind of like the opposite. They're taking it seriously that these grown adults are playing these children.
Children still? Really? I haven't started watching it yet, but wow.
It's
that's
very
jarring.
It's very jarring. But that notwithstanding, Stranger Things season 5, the final season's out, and Shawn Levy is doing press for it. And in one of the interviews that he was doing for it, I don't remember where it was, so excuse me for not citing my sources, but it's inevitable, right? When you're making a Star Wars, that people want to ask you about the Star Wars you're making. And, so he was asked about Starfighter and how that's going. So he's not, what's he going to say? Oh, it's going badly. I hate it. And it's going to be a bad movie. Obviously he's saying it's great. It's a dream come true. He's, saying all the platitudes that he's probably contractually obligated to say, which is good for him because, we want to hype up the movie. But he did say something new that hadn't been announced yet. We didn't know who the composer of the film was going to be. Obviously, it's not going to be John Williams. It's not going to be Ludwig Göransson either. But it was like he announced semi-officially that Thomas Newman is going to be the composer for that film. He's won Grammy Awards, Emmy Awards. He's been nominated. He's won BAFTAs. Has been nominated for the Oscars, for the Academy Awards 15 times. So
Oh,
it
okay.
sounds like
Some
he knows.
chops. Mhm.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing. Has composed scores for The Shawshank Redemption, Meet
Oh
Joe
wow.
Black,
Mhm.
American Beauty, The Green Mile, Pay It Forward, Road to Perdition, Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, Cinderella Man, Wally, James Bond, the James Bond films, Skyfall specifically, which is an incredible score,
Yeah.
amongst many, many, many
Those are some
others.
heavy hitters right there. So.
So so yeah,
Mhm.
so man knows what he's doing. So can only be good news, right? For the Star Wars musical front in Starfighter. But thankfully, I think we've been fairly lucky that every single Star Wars project has had extremely good music. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
Nani,
agree. Mhm.
were you familiar with Thomas Newman, or how does this news make you feel? It's not. I mean, we've talked a little bit about Starfighter, but let's delve into it somewhat
Mm.
since we have
I hadn't
some
really heard
news.
about him. Sorry about being a bad nerd. A lot of the films you did mention are films that have really amazing scores. I just is not one of the composers that I knew specifically about, but it's exciting to know that it's somebody that has, you know, a lot of experience in making really good scores. It's always really exciting to have new composers come into Star Wars because there's always kind of this battle of, the nostalgia of the John Williams soundtrack versus, all of the other new music that gets added to it. I mean, there's been some excellent composers for, shows like The Bad Batch, and Andor had amazing scores as well. So I think it's always exciting to get somebody new have their own take into Star Wars. So I mean, Starfighter is still really new, so there's not so much for us to get like truly excited about until we get a little bit more information. But it's always good to see that it's actually happening because so many Star Wars projects like get announced
Mhm.
sometimes, and then suddenly it's like they pull the plug and it never happens. So it's exciting to find out that this one seems like it is actually going ahead. So
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, like we talked last time. It's no. I'm not. I mean, I'm not. This is not a movie that I'm too excited about, and it's probably because I don't know too much about it.
mhm.
So it's definitely more hopeful for it than
Yeah,
Mando and Grogu, as we've talked almost ad nauseum about. But I mean, it's good. We're gonna have a solid soundtrack. I'm not I'm a solid score. I'm not sure what to expect from it. If he's gonna, lean into just something that's new and creative in the way that
right.
Ludwig Göransson did for The Mandalorian, or Nicholas Britell
Hmm.
did for Andor, or if he's gonna stick to a more classical Star Wars theme, for lack of a better term, kind of like
Right.
Giacchino did for. Was Giacchino the composer for Rogue One? I think so. Let's just assume he was. For now, you can correct me in the comments if he wasn't, and
Yeah.
I screwed up. But we'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be good. There was also a rumor that the Millennium Falcon's gonna be in that movie, but
Okay.
in what capacity? It's just like it's just
Yeah.
gonna it's like why would the Millennium Falcon show up in this movie if Rey's not gonna
Yeah.
be piloting it? But I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that because speculating is
It's
exhausting sometimes.
I know, and it's really early days for this film, so
Yeah,
I think it's kind of useless to try and speculate too much about it.
it's very funny that we're talking about Starfighter more than the movie that's actually coming out pretty soon, which is Mando and
Right.
Grogu.
Yeah, it's
Which
kind of weird, but
I don't know. They just released a post, like the Star Wars Latin America official Instagram account posted a Thanksgiving poster for it, and it was just like bad Photoshop poster of Mando and like literally just like Mando holding up Grogu and Grogu looking at the poster, and it's like, oh man, like at least despite
put some effort.
my despite my not so positive comments, opinions about the Rise of
Uh-huh.
Skywalker, at least it had great marketing art and posters.
True.
Like
Hmm.
the artwork that was done for Rise of Skywalker and the lead up to the film was phenomenal. So I
Hmm.
have to give credit where credit's due in that regard. So it's just like, just spend the money, hire artists,
Yeah.
get some good art going so that we can get excited for the film. Because if you're just gonna do Photoshop drivel, For me, it just seems like, yeah, whatever. We're not gonna put effort on
Yeah.
it because we're not putting effort in this movie because you're gonna watch it anyway, which I am.
Yeah. True.
However,
But get us excited about it. Come on.
get us excited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of it on the Star Wars front. It's a little quiet for now. It'll continue to be a little sleepy as we get going, but coming up, it's gonna be the 10th, and that's 10, the 10th anniversary of The Force Awakens. So
Oh, wow.
we're gonna have to revisit that film because it's insane how time flies.
I can't believe it's been 10 years. I remember speculating about what that film was going to be before it came out, and now it's 10 years later.
That day. Yeah. Being at your house, doing one of our roundtable things and doing our speculation. A lot of it came true.
A lot of it did, yeah.
But most didn't.
But most didn't.
But we'll need to revisit the thing that started this whole new era of Star Wars. Yeah. Crazy how 2015 has turned into 2025.
Almost 2026, good God, because the year just ends. Yeah, it's already December tomorrow.
The fun never ends. Jesus. And speaking of things that never end, some would say that Frankenstein never ends. He's an immortal being, immortal creature that has been pervasive in literature and film and media for, I don't know, when did Mary Shelley write that?
It was like in the 1800s, I think.
Has it been over 100 years since the book was published? I mean, excuse me, I'm not good with time frames. So, and here we are in 2025 with a new adaptation of Frankenstein, which it's only a matter of time, right? Since all of these old school monsters get modern treatment or contemporary treatment because they're all modern for the time. And this time, it was Guillermo Del Toro's turn to take a stab at the classic monster creature hero, depending on the interpretation. And especially with this one, it's a lot more nuanced. I mean, it always has been nuanced, but it's always turned into a classic monster. But we finally both had a chance to watch it, and we thought it would be like a good idea to just talk about it since we are Star Wars Plus podcast. So, Nani, you just saw it. So why don't you kick things off and talk a little bit about Frankenstein? Maybe I don't know. Have you seen any of the other Frankenstein adaptations? Had you read the novel? What's your experience there with this famous movie monster?
Yeah, so I actually, growing up, you always think of Frankenstein as the Hollywood version of it, green with the bulbs coming out of his head and flat head and just walking like this. And then you assume that's it. He's just like another Hollywood monster that came out of nowhere that Hollywood invented. And then you get to high school, which is the first time I got acquainted with the novel. It was, one of those obligated books you have to read for whatever English class I was taking.
Interesting.
And it's one of the few obligated books that I had to read that I actually really enjoyed. So I really enjoyed Frankenstein when I read it, back in high school, however million years ago that was. And it kind of stuck with me. So I think I reread it again while I was in college, but now it's been decades since I've read it. So I don't remember all of it. But I was always disappointed with all the other film versions that came after that still kind of stuck to the whole, Frankenstein being the monster, not Victor Frankenstein being Frankenstein and the creature being the monster, even though Victor is the actual monster in the book. But they were always kind of disappointing. So I always kind of just treated them as, Hollywood action films, completely apart from what the book was supposed to be. So I was really excited when I heard that Guillermo Del Toro was getting his shot at, adapting this film. I'm a huge Guillermo Del Toro fan. I think his visuals are always really captivating and he's a great storyteller. So when I saw the trailer and saw that they were giving it the Mary Shelley treatment, I was really excited about it. I'm kind of surprised it didn't get promoted as much as I would have thought, because I remember finding out about it before it actually started showing on Netflix, that I was one random weekend looking for movies to go watch and they're showing Frankenstein at the movie theater. And I was like, what is this? There's Guillermo Del Toro Frankenstein? Why have I not heard about this before? So I was a little upset. And then, they removed it from the theaters. So I only got to watch it on Netflix, which it was fantastic anyway. But I feel like it was a missed opportunity because Netflix was going to get it anyway. I think it should have had a longer run in the theaters. So people would have got to see it, in the big screen, because there is definitely something different about seeing a movie in the big screen.
Hmm.
One of my bosses actually watched it while I was still in the theaters and said it was totally worth it. It was a great watch. Um, so yeah, obviously Netflix is a great way to watch it. Easy at home, air conditioning on. You don't have to worry about people around you, but not the same as watching something in the theater. So I was a
Hmm.
little bit disappointed that I didn't get to watch it in the theaters, but I thought it was still really, really good. Um, what about you, Goose? What was
Well,
your relationship with Frankenstein?
it was interesting because before we got started recording, I was thinking about like, wait, what has my exposure been to the
Yeah.
Frankenstein mythos, right? Because unlike you in high school, we were not assigned to read Mary Shelley's
Okay.
Frankenstein. So I've
Hmm.
never I've never I've never read the book. I've never read the book.
Okay.
Although I'm familiar with the book and its existence, right, and the
Uh
themes and
huh.
whatnot. But I never saw the Boris Karloff classic Frankenstein film.
Hmm.
Although that movie's so pervasive that it's kind of like Psycho, it's like one of those movies that even if you haven't really seen, it's so
Yeah, it's
ingrained in
like in the
pop culture
collective consciousness. Yeah.
that you feel like you've seen it because like Boris Karloff, Frankenstein, right? It's such an
Hmm.
iconic image that it just
Right.
lives throughout culture and
Hmm.
and through our experience in a lot of ways. But I have never seen that movie, which I should probably rectify now that I saw this one. But a lot of my exposure to Frankenstein has been Frankenstein adjacent media,
Okay.
right? In particular, the monsters. For everyone,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
for everyone that grew up going to their grandparents' house on Saturday, like I did, there was always reruns on. I don't even remember what channel it was. If it was channel 8 or whatever it was, or channel 8 or 6, back in Puerto Rico. I don't remember. But they always had like old school reruns. They
Monsters.
had
Hmm.
they had Gilligan's Island. They had I Love Luke. They had all the classic hits.
Hmm.
From our parents and grandparents, but they also had reruns of The Addams Family. And there was an Addams Family competition show, for those who aren't aware, called The Monsters. And The Monsters is kind of like the response to The Addams Family.
Hmm.
Um, and the dad in that show was very Frankenstein coded. It was
Yeah.
green with the big head and the
Hmm.
bolts in the neck, like you were saying.
Hmm.
So that was like an initial exposure to Frankenstein, but that's not. I mean, but he's not Frankenstein, right? He's just he's a sitcom dad who happens to
Yeah.
look like Frankenstein. Uh, but then after that, I think the next kind of iteration of Frankenstein that I do remember a little more vividly was the horrible film. This movie's a lot of fun, but as a film, it's a fun movie, but a terrible film. It's the Hugh Jackman Van
Van
Helsing.
Helsing. It was so bad.
So bad, but
But
it
it's
kind of
entertaining.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it kind
Yeah.
of gave us
Yeah.
the collision of so the dark universe that never happened kind of happened in
Right.
that movie before.
Dracula and
Because we had all the classics. We had Dr.
hmm
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
hmm
We had Dracula. We had Dracula's brides. And obviously we had Van Helsing, and then obviously Frankenstein's monster. Well, in that one it's Frankenstein's monster. It's creature now in the Guillermo one. And I thought that Frankenstein was really cool. I think it was one of the in a bad movie, he was a shining character because of the tortured quality and his
Yeah.
journey throughout the film. I thought was really interesting, and the design was extremely different from what we've seen before, and kind of had like was it the exposed heart or exposed brain? I don't remember, but like there
Yeah,
were
there was something that was kind of exposed, which is
yeah
a little closer to what the book is, because in the book he's kind of a little bit translucent, so you can actually
yeah
see through his skin and actually see the veins and all the things. So he's actually more of a horror show than what we've ever really seen
yeah
Frankenstein be. But yeah.
yeah. Uh, but that one he was a cool one. But the only actual Frankenstein film that I ever actually saw, beginning to end, was '90s. Do you remember
The
oh my
Kenneth
god.
Branagh one with
That's
De
what I was gonna
Niro.
say. Exactly. I was
Yeah.
gonna preface it with the
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola,
Yeah.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from
Hmm.
Kenneth Branagh. Yeah, yeah. Because that was on HBO back in the day, like all the time, like for like a while. And I remember that I watched that film, and it was such a weird movie. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it since I saw
I
it
haven't
back in
seen
the
it in a
early
really long
2000s.
time, but yeah.
But I remember just thinking how weird it was to see Robert De Niro as
Yeah. The
Frankenstein's
creature. Yeah.
monster,
Hmm.
and then like everything with just Kenneth Branagh was also just bizarre, and Helena Bonham Carter, she's always weird, so she's even weirder in this too,
Yeah.
especially when she becomes Frankenstein's bride and everything. Spoiler alert. Um, but spoiler alert for a 20-year-old movie, almost 30-year-old movie.
Yeah.
But that one I remember was kind of my exposure, more a better exposure to Frankenstein, because it gave like a perspective of Frankenstein that I wasn't aware of, right? Because
Right.
that movie tries to be a little closer to what the novel was, as opposed
Yeah.
to all the other adaptations that you kind of just play off of the film mythos, right?
Yeah.
Of
Hmm.
Frankenstein. And this just gave me like a different perspective, right? Of like, it's not Frankenstein's not it's the creator, it's not the monster. And two, he's
Yeah.
he's not a monster. He's just trying to find his humanity and his soul in a world devoid of a soul. Um, so that was interesting. Just be like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
there's a lot more to this Frankenstein
For the
thing
story.
that I
Yeah.
wasn't
Hmm.
aware of. But I don't think that. I mean, but that movie, to be fair, didn't captivate me enough to delve deep into
Yeah.
into Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember being all that amazing.
I
I
should
haven't.
rewatch it. I should rewatch
Yeah,
it.
I should probably rewatch it. I know there was a more recent one in like 2015 with like James McAvoy and Daniel Radcliffe, but I
Oh,
never even watched that, so I can't judge.
yeah. That's yeah. I know exactly which one you're talking about. I
Hmm.
never saw it because it looked
Yeah.
horrible. And then
Yeah. Hmm.
there was another one called I Frankenstein that also looked horrible.
Yeah, that looks horrible too. Hmm.
With Harvey Dent. I forgot the actor's name. Yeah, didn't waste my time with
Aaron
those.
Eckhart. Yeah.
Aaron Eckhart. There we go.
Yeah. I
Uh,
don't think I saw that one either.
I think it's fine that we skipped it.
Yeah.
To be honest. But here we are with Guillermo del
Mhm.
Toro, and his new Frankenstein, and it's such a obvious movie, right? In for him to make almost
Right.
that it kind of
Uh-huh.
hurts. It's just like, why didn't you just make this movie to begin with? And
Hmm.
we'll talk about why it's obvious later. But yeah, I was very lucky to see it in the big screen.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, and it was definitely a great experience. I love going to the movies. And
Of
every
course. Hmm.
and every movie that you're able to watch in the movie theater, you should, because it's just a great
It's a different
experience.
experience. Hmm.
Different experience, like you're invested in it, like you're in this space where you kind of have to commit
Hmm.
to this to this environment in a way that you can't when you're, I mean, you can obviously at home, but there's so many distractions at home. You have pets, you have your pets. If you have kids, you have your kids. But then you have
Hmm.
your cell phones, and then all
And then you
the
pause and do something
you
else and then
pause,
go back to it.
exactly.
It's yeah.
Food's here, or you have to pause because food's ready, or it's too
Hmm.
late. You have to go to sleep for work tomorrow, so let's pause the movie and keep going. It
Yeah.
offers flexibility, right, in like how we
Yeah.
experience a movie, but it's a completely different experience to just sitting down in a dark theater
And just focusing
and
on
just
this one thing.
and just
Hmm.
watching this giant screen and being engulfed in it. So yeah, if you can watch it in the theater, watch it in the theater, please. So yeah, it was great. It was great. There's still like some things that felt Netflixy to me, and
Mm.
watching in the movie screen, it's just like it just felt a little too clean.
Okay.
I felt like that movie needed to have like the grit that you get from from film,
Hmm.
which is a very interesting thing to compare it with Knives Out 3, because I was able to see Knives Out 3, Wake Up Dead Man in the theater too, and that one, it's shot on digital, but it still feels grainy and still
Okay.
feels a little
More
rust.
film than.
Yeah,
Hmm.
rustic's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. Like there's a
Yeah. Yeah.
tactile
Hmm.
quality that makes it feel uh, more and more artisanal, right? And Frankenstein, as beautiful as it is, and like the production's incredible, and
Yeah.
the costuming's incredible,
Hmm.
everything
The set
is
design's incredible and
yeah,
mhm.
everything's top notch, but just the veneer of the movie
Right.
itself feels a little too clean, a
Okay.
little
Yeah, I know what you mean.
too
Hmm.
digital, too ready for iPhones, ready for 4K. But not in the, but not, I don't know if I'm making sense.
I agree with you.
Did that feel that way to you? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. And especially when it's something from Guillermo del Toro, who's so focused on kind of like physical effects as opposed to a lot of the CGI kind of thing. So his stuff does tend towards more of like the realistic feel, like the grainy feel and all that. So this, and especially something like Frankenstein, which is like such an old pervasive story, I think it did lack, you know, you lost a little bit of it by being so like shiny and new, I guess would be a good way to put it. But otherwise, I mean, it was so good. The casting was so spot on. I mean, Oscar Isaacs, I thought like nailed Victor Frankenstein. It was so good. What did you think?
I mean, I was blown away by Jacob Elordi. Let's just get
that as well. Yeah.
Let's just
get that out of the way.
Let's get that out of the way. You know, I wasn't familiar with his game. So respect to Jacob Elordi. He crushed it as the creature.
Yeah.
I had only seen him in Saltburn. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I have,
But he was great in that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he was great in that too.
But I wasn't, I wasn't expecting. I don't know what
and
I was
be able
expecting.
to pull off. Yeah.
But he crushed it, and it's one of those things where it's such a beloved character that you have. Everyone has their idea of
how it should be played.
Yeah, of what Frankenstein is, how Frankenstein sounds, how he sounds like, how he looks like. So it's always jarring, right, to see a new interpretation. But I'm happy to say that Jacob Elordi.
Yeah, the voice was so good too.
The voice was good, like the mannerisms with his hand, like his hands, physicality. I mean, that guy's 8 feet tall? Jesus Christ!
It's insane.
I was watching the press, some of the press interviews that they were all doing, and he is a tall man. Holy crap! And it worked. So that was great. And like you said, Oscar Isaac also great, but he's Poe Dameron. He's always
great.
He's always going to be great. Always going to be great. Christoph Waltz. Also good, always good. Well. We got Grand Admiral Thrawn in there. We got Lars Mikkelsen, and Lars Mikkelsen doesn't miss either, so he was great. I think the weak link, and this might be controversial, so I apologize. The weak link might be Mia Goth.
Yeah.
And to be very fair to her, I haven't seen any of her her horror trilogy, like Maxine and I forgot the name of the other two, but I haven't seen any of the
Pearl and
I haven't seen those. But to me, she's not that she was bad, but it felt like I don't know if it was her character or what, but
there was like a disconnect there with the character. Yeah, there was a disconnect there with the character that I feel like she was supposed to be like this really compelling character that's like really compassionate, like the one person that shows humanity to the creature, but something there was like missing. Like they try to make her a little bit too eccentric maybe or something, and it just didn't completely land. So I don't know. So I don't think what her character was supposed to be actually came through. So so that might have, and it's not necessarily her fault. It was maybe the way that she was written. I don't know, but there was something missing there. I agree with you.
Yeah, and like you said, it's probably not the performance. It's kind of like Hayden Christensen, Attack of the Clones. Like it's just the material. It's just the material that he was given, and he did the best he could. Which sometimes best ain't good.
Not good. Sometimes not good.
I mean, she did it, and she did a good job. I mean, she also played the mom, Victor's mom, in the flashbacks. So she did it. She did great. We'll get to it. I think it's a lot more plot and writing driven as opposed to performance driven.
Yeah.
But the cast was phenomenal. I thought everyone was good. My nitpicks are just aspects of the story and kind of Guillermo's filmography as a whole leading into this movie. Those were kind of like my issues with Frankenstein, not so much the movie itself. But like, what was your So let's talk about Guillermo del Toro, I guess. Like, what was your relationship with? Sorry, the dog's going crazy right now.
No worries.
What was your relationship with Guillermo del Toro? I know, like we've been fans of his for a while, and we've been watching his movies for a long time. So, have you seen all of his movies? And like, what was how did you feel culminating into this one?
So I think the first one I ever watched of his was Hellboy. And I think his Hellboys are great. Both of them are actually fantastic. So I am super fine with that. But the one that really got me like really into his work was Pan's Labyrinth. which I still think it's one of my all-time favorite movies. I mean, it creeped me out the first time I saw it, but it was so well done. And the fact that you can use all these like creatures to tell a deeper story, I think is one of the things that make Guillermo del Toro so good. So I was really excited when I found out that it was him doing it. I don't think I've watched absolutely everything that he's made. The Shape of Water was great. Um, but I think it was overrated in my opinion, actually. Like it got so much love, like too much love. But I think by the time I saw it, it was so hyped that it didn't hit with me as much as I thought it would.
So Frankenstein hit harder than Shape of Water?
Yeah, Frankenstein hit harder for me. I thought it was better. Yeah.
Fascinating.
But I think that's also my relationship with the story as well.
Mhm.
But I don't know. And I think I always saved it the Cabinet of Curiosities series to watch, and I never got around to it. So it's still like in my to watch list on Netflix, but I never really actually got around to it. But I was really, really surprised, and I shouldn't have been, how amazing his Pinocchio was.
Yeah.
So that was absolutely amazing, his version of Pinocchio. So yeah, so I've always had a good relationship with him as a director. So I was really excited about him doing Frankenstein. What about you? What's your relationship with Guillermo del Toro as a director and producer?
Like I haven't seen all of his films, but
Yeah.
I've seen a big chunk, and I think the first one of his that I saw was Blade 2,
Mm-hmm.
and Blade 2 slapped. That was
yeah,
amazing. Like I remember when I saw it when it came out, that was a highlight. I love that movie, and I think I saw Blade 2 before I saw Blade 1.
Okay.
So after like I saw Blade 2 and I saw Blade 1, which obviously is not directed by Guillermo, I was deeply disappointed in the first one.
Yeah, it's like, what is this?
Which is not to say that it was bad, but Guillermo just took he's in a tour, right? So he's gonna
Yeah.
inject himself into a movie in a way that not a lot of directors have the skill to do. So he elevated the material in such a beautiful way that kind of made Blade 2 from something that was just cool into something that was special. Right. So from there, the journey commences, right, into Pan's Labyrinth, like you said, which was incredible and beautiful and
haunting and haunting.
Hellboy and Hellboy 2, Pacific Rim, which is one of the best kaiju.
Pacific Rim was great too.
One of the best kaiju films of all time
that they've ever made. Agreed.
So good, such a great movie. And then Nightmare Alley, which I was not the biggest fan of. I felt like that was the rare Guillermo del Toro. Not that it was bad. It's just like it just didn't land for me personally. But I personally loved Shape of Water, and I kind of will get to it. But I think it's better than Frankenstein, or for reasons we'll discuss later. But Shape of Water was great, and obviously, like you said, Pinocchio was incredible,
amazing.
So Guillermo has a proven track record, and as I was watching Frankenstein, when he announced that he was doing Frankenstein, I was just like, this just makes sense, right? You've been doing monster movies your entire career. You've been making movies about misunderstood characters that are mistaken for monsters, but their monstrosity is just a reflection of humanity on itself, and the humans that judge them are the real monsters. Blah 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 blah. Right? It's a theme that he explores in almost every single movie. So when he announced Frankenstein, I'm like, that makes sense.
That makes
sense. It's the movie about the topic that you love. So I remember as I was watching the movie, I'm just like, oh, this is it. This movie, especially how he's doing it, makes so much sense, because every other movie that he's done so far, at least to me, kind of felt like it was an apotheosis, right? Everything was leading up to this. So in a lot of ways, like Frankenstein is the ultimate Guillermo del Toro movie, because it is the film that ultimately brings in everything that he loves, that he has explored, that he has loved, and he's wanted to show and just manifest in this movie. So it's been kind of a fun journey, right, to watch most of his films throughout his career and kind of
Yeah.
see this happen, because it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a pinnacle in the mountain. You've seen him climb it, and
Yeah.
now here we are at the top with him talking about this film. I don't know, like have you felt that way with his other movies leading into this?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like as cohesively as you just explained it, but yeah, it makes total sense, and it really does. So I think it was really amazing that this movie came out right now when it did, especially when there's like so many monsters hidden amongst us, and not all that hidden, but but I think it's a good film for the time, and I think it's good for Guillermo del Toro's trajectory to kind of have Frankenstein come in at this point, and to be able to have the amazing talent that was involved in making this film. So I don't know, it was really good. Like all around, it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So
I'm curious though, because you said that you didn't like Shape of Water as much, and I kind of want to pull that thread a little bit, because in a lot of ways, like Thread of Water, the Shape of Water is Creature from the Black Lagoon, right?
Right.
And but it also is kind of it's a pairing to this movie too, because it's under what's the term, unrequited, is that the word that I'm looking for?
Unrequited.
There we go. Unrequited love between like two distant lovers, right? In the same way that Mia's character with the creature, in some senses, right? It's the same as the oh my god, as the lead in Shape of Water with the Fishman. I forgot everyone's names for this. So it seems very similar at first glance, which is why, to me, in a lot of ways, and we'll talk about it once I say this, Shape of Water works more than Frankenstein, because it's Shape of Water, since it's kind of his own story that he's interpreting anew, right? Even though it's very heavily inspired by The Creature from the Black Lagoon, it's still like his own story, right?
Yeah.
In a way that Frankenstein, he took definitely liberties, right, with how the novel progress. We don't get the Bride of Frankenstein sequence. We don't get like the ending from the book or anything. Like, there's a lot of things that are different. Still, the DNA is still very much about
it's still
honoring
faithful to the soul
story, which I think was to its detriment in some ways. But I don't know. I want to get your reaction to that and see like your thoughts of Shape of Water versus Frankenstein.
Yeah, so I can't comment all that much on Shape of Water because it's been a long time since I last saw it. I will have to revisit it. I just remember that a lot of comments about it started popping up again while comparing this Frankenstein to, some of his most famous films, which Shape of Water is one of the most like critically acclaimed ones and well known. But I just kind of remember when I watched it that I thought it was kind of too slow paced. And for me, it was like they were trying too hard. For me, I did not only get like Creature from the Black Lagoon, I actually got Abe Sapien from Hellboy 2. And he was actually played by the same actor, Doc Jones. So I kept feeling like, I mean, is this supposed to be a continuation of Abe Sapien's story? Is this a new character? So it actually felt a little disjointed to me. So it didn't land as hard as I thought it would. With by the time I saw it, I think it already gotten like super hyped up and everything. So I saw it like towards the tail end of the release, and everybody was so excited that that kind of bleeds out into what you're expecting. And then I saw it, I was like, it was fine. It was good. It was gorgeous. It was amazing storytelling. It was like beautiful and everything that is.
And you got Michael Shannon. Always great in your film.
Oh, yeah, and he's fantastic. But there was something about it that just didn't hit with me specifically, and that's just like the way I felt about it. I will probably rewatch it now that we're talking about it, and thinking back to a lot of Guillermo del Toro's films and how his trajectory has gone throughout the years. So I think that's why it was. And I think the other reason is that Frankenstein has been like one of my favorite stories throughout the year that I felt like never got told in the way that it should have. I still think, it's always smart because, book and film are completely different media. So it's sometimes the wrong decision to try to keep it almost exactly the same as the book. But I feel like some of the decisions in the changes that they made kind of hurt the film, because that then the end and like the moment of catharsis and all of that kind of got lost in the way somehow. So that third act, I don't think had the punch that it should have, because a lot of kind of the horrible things that happen in the middle that are actually the creature's fault, because the creature actually does murder William and does murder Elizabeth, who was Victor's wife at that point. So, I mean, there's a lot of horrible things that the creature does do that they kind of like brush aside just to make him this benevolent character without exploring a lot of the darkness that, you know, came from and exploring way more the relationship, the father-son relationship between Victor and the creature. They only kind of did, father-son at the very end. From the book, I remember that the creatures thought of Victor as his father from the very beginning, and that's why the abandonment hurt so much. So I think some of the really hard-hitting themes kind of got lost in the middle somewhere, and those decisions, I mean, they were obviously on-point decisions. The movie's already like 2.5 hours long, so I don't know where you are supposed to cut and paste, you know, from the story to make it complete, but somehow, because of those decisions, like that third act felt a little shallow, and the catharsis at the end didn't feel as earned as it should have. But I mean, that was just my opinion.
I mean, I don't disagree, right, with a lot, if not most, of what you're saying, because I think that there's a lot of things that which is one of the reasons that I don't think that the movie hit as hard for me, which is to say that, like, that, you know, that ending and the lead up to it, and the movie in of itself, and it's a little bit of what we were saying at the beginning, is we've seen Guillermo del Toro talk and show us and write and film all of these things throughout his career, right? So we have been seeing this movie, right? In many ways, in all of his other films. Right. So while I appreciate that this is the apotheosis, right, of all of it, it's still like by the end of it, it's like, yeah, I saw this movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is a great film, but I saw it in The Shape of Water, I saw it in Hellboy, I saw it in Blade. You know, like, you've been talking about all these themes so much that it makes sense that you're making this movie, yes, but at the end of it, it's just like, okay, but I heard what you had to say. You did it in this wonderfully gothic, bombastic story, but not that I felt hollow, right? Because I thought the ending was beautiful as the creature walks out into the sunset with
crying
with purpose, you know, with purpose and well, maybe not purpose, but with forgiveness and closure for that part of his life. It's still, you know, it's still like, yeah, like cool. Like, you've done this before. Now it's kind of like a Wes Anderson film, and I mean this in the best way possible. It's just like, once you've seen one Wes Anderson movie, you've kind of seen all of them. So, like, you're not being given like something fresh,
new,
like a new dish to eat. So, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing by any means, because it's like AC/DC. If you know how to do one thing right, you just keep doing it. And every AC/DC album is almost exactly the same, but they all rock, you know?
Yes.
They're all good.
Agreed.
So I don't want to be reductive to Guillermo del Toro's filmography in that way, right? But you know what I mean? It's just like, for me personally, it didn't explore anything that wasn't beyond things that Guillermo del Toro hadn't explored before. So that's why, like, by the end of it, it's like, that was great, but now let's move on to the
I kind of wanted more. Yeah.
And to that point, I agree with you, right? With a lot of the parts about the creature and Frankenstein's relationship, which, you know, for me, it always hits. You know, father-son stories always, you know, always hit for me. I'm a sucker for those. You know, give me Last Crusade and movies like this, and I'm good. I'm good. I'm hardwired to like all those films. But to me, the big missed opportunity was Mia Goth's character, because it's just,
as well,
you know, to me it felt, and please correct me if your view on this, because your opinion on this is more valuable than mine. To me, it just felt like her character was just reduced to just not a damsel, but, you know, an object an object for the men to long for, and a catalyst for their journey. Right? She kind of like, yeah, it kind of felt like Guillermo was trying to elevate her character to be like, a woman out of her time
Hmm.
who sees beyond the trappings of society. But in doing that, you kind of like make her this cliche character, which is like, oh well, she's the cool chick at school that all the listen, the tomboy at school that listens to pop punk and all the boys are into because she's different, But then you just make her this object of desire for both the creature and Guillermo, but then you just kill her, right? So you get rid of her character to further the men's story, and I'm just like, really, in 2025 we're kind of still using like female characters in that way, especially when this story is written by a woman. So I don't know, like that for me. Please correct me. Like I know that we're in this, in this new
Yeah,
Trump
it's a
era that
weird
we're in.
era.
DEI
Yeah.
is dead apparently, and like we're going back. We're not being progressive in film anymore apparently. So maybe I'm old school in that way. But what was your reaction? Like, am I out of touch here, or
No,
like
you're
what was
not
your
out of touch.
reaction
I'm just
to?
trying to think of what the Elizabeth character was like in the books, and I really don't remember. I think she was pretty minor. I mean, it was all about how Victor saw her
Mhm.
more than anything else. Like she didn't really have her own voice in the books as much as far as I can remember. Like I said, it's been like decades since I last read it, so I would have to revisit it. But it was more like she, if I remember correctly, she was kind of in the story, but she had no real say in what was happening in her surroundings. I don't know why they try to elevate her this way, and I don't know why they made her like a love interest for the creature. I thought that was a little strange decision. I don't know why that was kind of happening.
Mhm.
Um, because if I remember correctly, he does start to create the companion from Elizabeth's dead body,
That's what happens
and
in the Mary Shelley Frankenstein film.
yeah,
So that's
but
that's
I
that's
don't
that's as
think they
much
never
reference I
actually
have to the
wake her
novel.
up. If I remember correctly, like Victor, like changes his mind in the middle of like creating the companion and then destroys it, and that's when the creature goes on like the full rampage of death because his only chance to not be lonely in this world because all he wanted was companionship and he never got it from his father, so that's all he ever wanted, and then that possibility got destroyed and he just lost it. But I don't think she was ever kind of, a love interest for the creature per se,
Mhm.
except for the whole she's going to become possibly the companion. And again, I have to reread the book. So don't take me for correct in this. If you want to leave in the comments somebody that has read it recently and is more in tune with what's happening, just please let us know. I could be completely wrong. But I remember, I think she was kind of like a distant cousin and she was like
Mhm.
always fragile and all these things. And then after Victor becomes so obsessed with the creation of his creature, and that was another thing that was different because I'm pretty sure that in the book he does everything by himself, like
Mhm.
going to the cemetery, getting the carcasses, and like actually putting him together and the whole thing. I think he does that by himself, like in his madness, and it's like this obsession, and he thinks it's this gorgeous thing, and then when it actually wakes up, which is more of a birthing scene than what we've
Mhm.
seen in the films, which is more like, oh, it's alive, electricity. When he sees the creature, once it's actually awake, he's disgusted by it and then just abandons it. And then once that obsession is done, his new obsession becomes Elizabeth. So that's
Mhm.
why I remember kind of how it went. It was a little strange how the character was handled here. As soon as they said Elizabeth, that it was her, I was like, okay, I remember this character. But then, yeah, it was strange choices to like make her, somebody that's ahead of her time and all these things, and then her showing compassion for the creature at the beginning and then suddenly at the end she's like in love with it just didn't really make sense to me. So I don't
Mhm.
know. There were some weird choices there.
And it's a shame, right? Because otherwise, I
Yeah.
think like the film is extremely well
Yeah, because and then you're
constructed,
using a
right?
woman as like you were saying, just to be a catalyst between the two main characters, but you didn't really need to do that because there was
Mm.
already issues between them because of the father-son relationship, and you didn't really need to use a woman as that. It's
Yeah,
kind of a
yeah.
little bit degrading, but I don't know.
And,
I
and,
don't
and,
know.
it's, and I think it's one of those things that happen. And I don't want to give out spoilers for Knives Out 3 Wake Up Dead Man. It's coming out on Netflix December 12th, which I was very lucky to be able to see early in
Hmm.
theaters. But it's it happens in that movie too.
Okay.
I mean, not that, but it's kind of the thing when you're trying to elevate a female character or have a feminist stance, but then your main point of view are like men. So it kind of like
Hmm.
like it's kind of trying to have your cake and eat it, but then you're like throwing the cake in the ground, and
Yeah,
then you
and
can't even
stepping on
eat
it.
it. Yeah, instead, so
Yeah.
it's kind of this weird. Like I don't want to like. I'm trying to say things without spoiling Knives Out because obviously the movie's not out yet for everyone to see, and I want to see it with like without anything being ruined. But there are things that happen in that movie that made me feel about it the same way that I kind of feel about Mia Goth's
Okay.
character, which is just like, oh, we're not like we're doing these things to elevate like this character and make them like more conscious to the times and empowered, but then you
Yeah.
kind of remove that agency by
Yeah.
make like
Yeah. And then what you're
inserting
doing is
a
actually
male
worse
point
than
of
if,
view,
yeah. Yeah.
right? Well,
Yeah.
Which is a thing that doesn't happen, right? And Knives Out, the first one, and Shape of Water,
In
right?
Shape of Water.
But
Yeah.
what's the
Hmm.
difference in those films? The protagonist is the
It's a
female
woman.
character.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, something interesting. I don't know if I'm completely off base here. If anyone disagrees with me, please just sound
Yeah.
off
Just
in the
leave a comment.
comments
Hmm.
respectfully, right? Don't be a bigot or a misogynist.
Yeah.
Yes,
Please.
please, we'll ban you. We don't care. But yeah, that was just an interesting point of view. I know that her character's not the focus of the film, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's just
Hmm.
a bizarre thing. 'Cause I
It,
don't
it
know.
was a weird way, like how they used that character as a vehicle for other things that wasn't necessarily the best way to do it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. There were some strange decisions made about the character. I don't know.
we always have to pine for the ideal woman that is
Yeah.
outside of our reach, but she can't be a character in of herself. She just has to
Yeah,
be
and
that.
have
She has
her,
to be the
yeah, and
cool
have her own
girl.
agency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
But overall, I think the film was
But
great. Like
overall, it was good. Yeah. Hmm.
that sequence, the my favorite part of the film was definitely the creature story.
Yeah.
Especially
Hmm.
the sequence with the old man.
Yeah.
I forgot the actor's name, but he's in Game of Thrones. He's in Harry Potter. When he's learning
Yeah.
to,
David Bradley.
there we
Hmm.
go. When he's learning to read, and
Yeah. Which, if I remember correctly, is pretty close to how the book went. And that was one of my favorite parts, to see the perspective of the creature. So it was really cool to see how, when you remove somebody's eyesight, so much prejudice goes away. And
mhm, mhm.
then and the fact that, he protected that family for months, and then as they can't get over what he looked like and try to kill him. So
What
it,
was
it
it?
says
What
a
was
lot more about
the name that he had? The shepherd of the forest, was it?
something like that.
What they
Yeah.
called him. But that whole
Hmm.
sequence was beautiful. I was
Yeah.
crying. I was crying like a baby. Like in that
It was beautiful.
scene, when
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh, like my friend," and I was like, "Oh my god,
I know.
that's
Yeah.
so
Yep.
so good."
Yep.
It was almost ruined by the terrible CGI wolves, which
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were bad. They were bad.
I'm just like, "Oh my god, I don't mean to nitpick, but I will
Yeah.
nitpick. Those
Yeah.
wolves were bad."
Yeah. And then after you did so many amazing things with how the creature looks, and
yeah.
all the dissections, and all these like kind of gruesome, like that one body that he has like crouched over the
Hmm, hmm,
table and
hmm.
stuff like that. I mean, and it's so kind of gory but beautiful at the same time, and then you have to ruin it with CGI wolves. It's like nonsensical.
I mean, I don't
But
mind CGI wolves. It's like
mhm,
I don't mind CGI. Period. I think this
mhm.
whole backlash that people have with CGI is just absurd because CGI has
So
done
many things that we've loved. Yeah. Hmm.
incredible things, and
Yeah.
most of the
Hmm.
things that we watch have CGI that you're not even noticing.
Right.
And I think that's when CGI is the best, is when it's so good that you don't
When
even
you don't
notice
know.
that it's
Hmm.
there. And but that's why like I'm calling it wolf specifically, because
Right.
in an otherwise beautiful film where everything is woven together so beautifully, all
Yeah.
of a sudden like this just stands out. It's
It's
like
like, whoa.
this weird thing, and it's just
Yeah.
bizarre. It was
Again, but
bizarre.
it's a nitpick. Yeah.
But it's a nitpick. Doesn't ruin
Hmm.
the film. It's a beautiful movie. I mean, I think it's a great film to add to Guillermo's filmography.
Yeah.
It's a great film to add to the canon of Frankenstein
Hmm.
films, and I think we need more auteur voices that keep, using that voice to tell their
Yeah.
own stories, because we're especially with this whole AI crap that's just being shoved
Yeah.
down our throat, and AI slop, and people trying to cut actors and writers out of
Yeah.
films so
Out
they
of the
can save
process.
a couple of money, a couple of dollars, so that they can,
Yeah.
they can make some AI slop crap that looks like shit.
Yeah.
It's we need art more. We need art more than ever. Like
I agree.
in a world that's hostile towards each other, and we need art to heal our
Yeah.
souls. And thankfully, I
Agreed.
think despite some of the criticisms that are constructive criticism, it's not meant to be negative. We need more films like this that help talk about the human condition, and
Right.
why we just need to see each other as people with souls instead of you know consumerist automatons. But that's just me. That's just me. I
I
don't know.
know, but I agree. I agree with you. But I think we're done for today talking
We're
about
done. We're
Frankenstein.
we're done
Yeah.
for today until
hmm
we reconvene to either talk about Knives Out or The Force
Yeah.
Awakens. We'll see. We'll see what the
We'll
future
see.
holds.
hmm Well, anyway, let us know what you thought about Frankenstein, what you thought about Guillermo del Toro's films, if you're a fan, if you're not, if this is the first you've heard of him ever. If there's any films that you've watched that you're interested in us discussing or that you would like to recommend to us, if there's any new Star Wars things that you know that we don't know.
Yeah.
So just please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and let us know what you think about the episode and Triad of the Force in general. And you're ready to say goodbye, correct, Goose?
Well, so long for now.
So long for now. Until next time, may the Force be with you.